Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. The Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com, but we are rejoined by the busiest man of Commander Nation, Damien Bartonek of the HogsHaven.com. How are you doing on this beautiful Monday evening?
I'm doing well, man. Monday's a good day for me now, you know what I mean, have therapy on Mondays and got 2 podcasts to do today. So it's a busy day. I had leg day today too. So overall, can't be mad at it, bro. It's a good day.
It's like Damien just tries to fill as much as possible into his 24-hour day. He's like, whatever
Usually,
I can do.
Yeah, usually people would be like, leg day, 2 podcasts, so much to do. The therapy, everything. Usually people would be like, today sucks, but you're a glass half full kind of guy, I take it.
Yeah, glass half full, glass, full of water though. Only water.
Yeah, you got to be if you're a Commanders fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I need that balance. The Commanders always bring me down, so I need something to bring me up.
Right.
You know that.
Either the Commanders or the social media. But to bring that up, to bring this back into fruition here, Dame, today the Commanders came out to date with a bunch of the special dates of this upcoming season. Week 17 is going to be the whiteout game for fans against the Cowboys, and Week 9 against the Vikings is the blackout game where they're going to unveil the new jerseys, and then also the first preseason game. They're announcing the new actual marching band's coming back out for a reunion, but a new marching song. So of those new dates, which one are you most looking forward to as a fan?
The blackout one for sure.
My man.
I think the black jerseys are really dope. I actually, like, before they actually dropped, I was like, the coldest jerseys, I don't know, like, I didn't know what they were going to look like, but I was like, they're going to do a white, burgundy, and black. I said that's what they were going to do. They ended up doing it. And those are cold to me, but the all black are fire.
Absolute fire, dude. We've been clamoring for that all black jersey, and salute to Service Month, obviously, for that 9th week in the NFL schedule for them. We're rocking the all black. I can't wait for it. Sorry, Reed.
Right. No, and especially, Kyle, I'll give you credit for this. First of all, for 2 straight years before anything was ever announced, you had been talking about a black jersey with black camo. So shout out to you. I don't know. It probably wasn't you, but hey, let's just take
it. There you go.
Me, but it's cool.
But I know you brought it up to Jason, but anyway, so outside of Jahan Dotson, after we've kind of seen some of these rookies during OTAs, we know Carson's kind of had a good chemistry with Jahan Dotson, but what rookie do you think makes the biggest impact year one?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I think for me, it really comes down to how you view the rotation, both in the running back room and on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Because I would say I'd go with Fedarian Mathis, because I think on first and second down, if you rotate him in and out, I think it's going to be fantastic. Brian Robinson, I wasn't a huge fan of that pick when it was announced. I'm still kind of just like lukewarm on the idea, but I think Gibson's
human.
Yeah, he is, but I think Gibson's still going to be like the bell cow of all this. But I think Mathis is going to have a really big impact.
Yeah, definitely like that pick. And another guy that's obviously been standing out is Carson Wentz. There's been a lot of talk about how he's been throwing the ball, just how he's been looking so far. But then you go to the other side of them, like the people outside of like the media, well, even local media here, kind of bash him too. But a lot of people just like to bash him. Pretty much, they just like look at him as like a bottom of the league quarterback. What are you kind of expecting from Carson Wentz and these this kind of, I wouldn't say this new revamped offense, but just with these new weapons added in?
I mean, he's going to give you what he gave you last year, I think, at base level. 27-7 was what we saw last year from a raw statistical number. Pro Football Focus has him, I think, in the 20s, in the early 20s in terms of rank overall quarterbacks. His EPA numbers are around the same. So I think he's going to be an average to maybe slightly below, maybe slightly above average. I would lean towards slightly above, because I think the overall, I think the offensive coordinator, I think the offense in general kind of fits him a little bit better than what he had in Indianapolis. So I think he's going to be at base level an average quarterback. I would lean slightly above average. And I think in general, man, the way the media kind of works things a lot in sports is everyone needs a narrative. So if, someone gets moved after, having a good number in terms of, raw statistics, someone needs to pick out why that happened. And they blame him. They didn't look at the second half defense and stuff like that, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, and then Carson, Next Gen Stats, the Colonel sent me an article. He was ranked as the 7th best deep passing quarterback in the NFL last year. So obviously that's going to be pay dividends for this Washington offense this season. Something we're not used to. We haven't seen since, I guess you could say, Kirk Cousins was here. But let's keep it with the quarterbacks here, or relatively speaking. Damien, if you could rank the NFC East quarterbacks and wide receiver duos.
The Giants will be last, so 4th.
That's easy.
The Eagles, oh man, that's a good one. The Eagles would probably be 3rd because I don't think Jalen Hurts is very good. I think, not to go on a long tangent, but they had the easiest schedule last year, closing out, I believe, the last 7 or 8 games.
Yep.
They played the NFL equivalent of tomato cans to find out their round out their season, and they got the doors blown off them in the playoffs, right? So. I don't think the quarterback. I think the quarterback is what really kind of brings them down. Although the wide receiver room, in my opinion, is very good. I'd probably put Washington 2nd, only because I don't know what Wentz we're going to get. Basically,
Okay.
I said average, right?
Fair.
So if you get average Wentz, I think Dak. Average Wentz compared to what you get from Dak, I don't think it's it's a conversation. I think Dak's the much better player if you're getting average Wentz, and I think that kind of puts Dallas over the top for me. Although their receiver room is kind of a mixed bag right now. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup's going to come back later. I like Jalen Tolbert. Saw him in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. I thought he looked really good out there as well. But like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag right now. But I would just lean Dallas because the quarterback is like the most important part of this equation, right? So like you can have kind of bad pasta, but you can have an excellent chicken parm and the meal's all right, so that's why I'm kind of like, that's where I stand right now with Dallas. So I would have Dallas 1.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I would agree with you. But so if you look at this tight end room, I mean, this tight end room is absolutely loaded with Logan Thomas, of course, is how much time is he going to miss early on? But Washington has a lot of young guys. I know Cole Turner's really stood out in camp. I know Curtis Hodges has so far. Granted, a lot still has to be seen. Same as Reyes is still raw, but he's developed nicely. Armani Rogers is still developing as a tight end after playing quarterback. That kind of brings a logjam. And then you have John Bates as well, who's the presumptive starter as soon as until Logan Thomas gets back. He's going to have a big role. But out of all of these guys, like, who makes this team? And wouldn't you be nervous to put like a Sammis Reyes or a Curtis Hodges on the practice squad, knowing that anybody's just going to scoop them up almost immediately?
You could, in theory, kind of be worried about that, but I think right now there's really 2 guys right now that are solidified outside of Logan Thomas as a receiver that are very comfortable with the ball in their hands.
Right.
That's going to be Bates and Turner, right? So you're going to want to keep them regardless. They're the guys you're not going to. I mean, you're not even going to get rid of Turner because you just drafted him, but just kind of saying out loud. And Reyes is a nice project, right? If someone would want to scoop him off your practice squad,
he did well blocking very well.
He did well blocking last year, but there's still a lot of room to work with. Yeah. There's a lot of room to grow, right?
He just started playing football.
So you're not going to sit here and, be upset if, he got snagged or Armani Rogers or someone like that, because I think there's bigger fish to fry. And I think once Logan Thomas does come back, that tight end room with those 3 guys of Turner, Bates, and Thomas, they kind of all play a little bit differently. I think Bates is kind of your more short to intermediate guy, good after the catch. Thomas is kind of like your possession, intermediate kind of tight end. And then Cole Turner, I think, can actually do stuff at the intermediate and deep level. Yeah. So I think they have a really nice blend right there. And those are the kind of the big 3 that you're really worried about. The other 2, they're nice. It's nice, depth and nice insurance. But I don't really think it would be that big of a deal if you did lose them.
And the one caveat for Sammis Reyes, he did play special teams last season, so that might
that's
be
a big
something
point.
that could help him.
Oh yeah, and Ron loves that.
And real fast, when we had Logan Paulson on last week, he was talking about how much Curtis Hodges is actually really impressed during this camp, and like, it's obviously Cole Turner's been on another level. Apparently, people have been really excited about him, but he said really look out for Curtis Hodges. He thinks he's somebody who could actually make the team.
Yeah, and that's a big point too, because last year all we heard about from different position, but DeAndre Carter was like, oh my God, DeAndre Carter's tearing it up, blah blah. Right. And that was someone that in April, May, June we were like, hey, he could probably make the team, and then he actually made the team. So yeah,
for sure. And flipping to the other side of the ball, you have 10 of the 11 starters coming back. Obviously, Landon Collins being that one guy. You got some a couple new people mixed in there as rotational guys as well. But they haven't really added any like really key pieces to that defense this offseason. as far as free agency and like kind of the big name guys or like well-known guys, veteran guys. Are you surprised at that? And what are you expecting from this defense going into the season?
No, I'm not surprised because, and it's not you I'm, directing this to, but it's more so like I know in that area, there are some people that do like to create content and, get the conversation flowing. And in a media business, I understand that. Because I'm a mass communications major. I understand this, right? I write, right? This class, for what they needed, what Washington needed was, a Mike linebacker in particular and another safety. The interior linebacker class, Mike backer class in free agency and the draft was extremely weak. Outside of Bobby Wagner, sure, you were looking at guys like Anthony Hitchens and guys of that caliber who are not better than Cole Holcomb right now. I'm sorry, they're just not, right? You look at the draft. Chad Muma is probably your day one immediate player. Fell to the third round. Okay. Outside of that, Devin Lloyd is not a lock to play Mike.
Right.
Nakobe Dean is not a lock to play Mike at the next level. Like, that's why I think I wasn't very surprised that they went this route or they didn't, end up adding all these players, because you got to realize, look at kind of what they have right now. And Holcomb's not a bad player. Like, he's a solid inside backer that if you're going to rely on him for a season, he's good enough to do that. You're going to play Jamin, at will or on the outside just in general. And that was his natural position. That's the position that everyone envisioned him playing. And not only that, two guys, they're only going to play two backers. They're only going to play two backers for 80% of their snaps. But like I mentioned too with the safety, they do need another safety because they're going to bring Curl back into his original role, take Landon's spot when originally it was Cam's spot. I don't think that they're in a bad spot there either, right? I think right now Washington's issues, they honestly couldn't make moves to fill them and bring in upgrades. So I wasn't really surprised with that. And I think overall their defense is going to be better than last year because it's another year in this Del Rio scheme. Guys like William Jackson III, I'm not expecting to start off slow. Guys like Kendall Fuller, I'm not expecting to start off slow. Benjamin St. Juste, I actually really liked the way he looked, but before injuries kind of got him a little bit. And the defensive line too, right? They're going to get healthy as well. So I think overall Washington's going to get a solid defense back. And I think everyone just needs to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, you bank and you bet on that hairstyle. If you're gonna be confident in anything, it's that hairstyle. But that being said, Dane,
mine too.
Exactly. Got the Cisco jump going on. But you spoke highly of Cole Holcomb, brother, and I wanted to ask: are you confident in his ability to play Mike with the green dot?
I think I'm fine. I'm fine with it because I know he's experienced in this scheme, in this system, and he's going to know what they want, what they're expecting. That's what I'm more so relying on. The ability, we know like the limitations are there. He's kind of a balanced backer in terms of he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. So totally he's a fine player, and that's, like I said, he's a fine player. That's okay. Like, that's better than what you had to start the year last year. Better than John Bostic. Better than Jamin Davis at Mike. So you can ride with that. And that's all you really need is just a competent, that's all everyone's been asking for when it comes to Washington defense, is not an elite Mike, just a competent Mike backer. That's all they've needed.
Absolutely, Dame. Now to wrap this up, I only have a couple more questions for you. But I've argued about this with Hall before, but he was correct. But I want to get your opinion. Do you believe that this season it is more imperative, it's more important to Washington to get off to a fast start than ever before, just given with the political, social kind of issues?
I think it's important, but I'm not too worried about it because they have in the middle of the schedule, they have 4 games back to back that are that should be very winnable. When you have Houston, Atlanta, and New York back to back, that's a 4-game stretch where it's likely that you could go 4-0 there, right? So if you did have an average start or a slow start, you can make up a little bit of ground there. Okay. And plus, we're dealing with a division that isn't particularly very great. They always play each other tough, so no one really kind of goes out to these crazy 14-3 records or anything like that. Dallas went 12-5 last year against a extremely weak NFC East and an easy schedule as well. So I think they're kind of fine right now.
All right, and then your next question for you? What would be your guess for Terry's contract numbers?
I actually wrote a piece on Hogs Haven about that. It was everyone seemed to like it. It got a lot of engagement. It got like 700 likes. So shout out to y'all who read it. So I think it's going to be probably like 5 years, like 115, 113, around about $23 million a year, and he's well worth it, man. I mean, when you look at the guaranteed money too on that. That's kind of like where the real sausage is made. That's
Right.
the important part. I think he'll push 60 million guaranteed, and that'll place him within the top 5 of at his position. And he's, like I said, he's well worth it for every reason I detailed in that article, from the on-field stuff, the off-field stuff. If you're looking to rebuild a culture like they've said that they're going to do, you keep your best player and the guy that embodies everything that you want. It's no simpler than that.
And then last one I have for you. Would you rather have the offense be top 5 in passing or a top 5 rushing attack?
Probably passing, because you can put points up quicker.
Put points up
Passing
quicker?
league.
You can put points up quicker, and thinking about it like this too, you can put points up in a bunch, for one, but for two, if your defense is playing really, really well, you're giving them so much room to work with, so much room to go. You can get a little exotic, get a little crazy on the defensive side of things, and who doesn't like exotic, wild things? So
Right.
I
And
got you.
that's been kind of a theme with Washington. It's like the defense they'll start playing well, they'll play well early in the games or something, and then they'll break. They can't hold, like, the offense needs to help them out more. If they got more help, I feel like this defense would flourish a lot more.
See, sorry.
I think too. It's kind of like counter what you would think, because you run the ball, you're going to dominate time of possession. That's typically how you work. But like, you said my personal opinion, that's what I'd personally like. Now, if I was being professional, when I was writing an article, I would definitely say, just dominate TOP, be a great rushing attack. But I'm not writing right now, so I could just say what I feel.
I got you. That's what I was going to say, rushing, because I remember the Cowboys back when they had a top 5 rushing attack. Their defense was number 1 in the league, and just specifically because they didn't have a lot of time on the field. And given with how this defense ranked last season, I would say the top 5 rushing attack would pay dividends for this defense, so they can stay fresh all season long, given with how, I'm not going to say fragile, thin the depth is at certain spots on the defensive line.
Let's be honest. I think we'd be happy with either one.
Yeah, I think you're right. What are we talking about? Stupid stuff here.
Beggars
But Dame, before we get out of here, if you just like to plug your social media handles, just in case there's anybody watching, I would like to come find you.
Yeah, just go ahead and follow me on Twitter at DA That's at DABARTONEK. I write about the Commanders for Hogs Haven. Did a lot of stuff for Rigo's Rag before, so just holler at me. Do a lot of stuff. Do a lot of writing, articles, everything.
I know Ken Johansson misses you, Dame. I know he does.
Yeah, shout out to my guy. Shout out to my guy.
Every day. I think
All
he's
right.
falling apart without you.
He is. All right, Dame. Have a good night, brother. Enjoy your week, brother. Be safe.
Later. Same deal.
All right, bro.
That's it.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Damien Bartonek. Dude, I don't think there's anybody more busy than him. Maybe Logan Paulson, but I think that's even stretching it, because this man, Dame, literally has 30 jobs.
Logan says he's busy. He's not. He's playing Call of Duty all day, every day. He's not busy.
Don't say that. No, but Reed, I'm glad that we'll have you back, sir. And looks like you are back in full health, because apparently you were not doing too well over the weekend, were you?
No. You can see here. I'm never gonna be dehydrated ever.
I thought you were gonna show it. I thought you were gonna show the kidney stone.
No. That's not. No, I don't have it yet. It's takes a little bit. Takes a little bit for that to get through.
But I'm glad that you're feeling better now. So you're all in the clear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm good. Don't get one. Stay hydrated. Seriously. That's no. I was curl up. You curl up on the bathroom floor crying.
I would imagine. I've heard it's very, very bad in order to do that, dude. It's not a fun.
It's
time
not
at all.
fun. Yeah. No. To me, it was easy. I think most people are wusses, but like I'm like super tough. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to get your guys' opinions, because Hull had alluded to it earlier, but EB from the Junkies put on a Twitter basically shooting down the Washington Commanders and saying that they didn't do anything to supplement their defense after bringing back 10 of 11 starters, even though they were the worst in the league last season. Hull, did you agree with EB in his tweet today?
I see where he's coming from, just for the simple fact of, like, you see all these, like, you see the top teams in the league, like the Rams and the Chiefs, teams like that. They just load up on player on top of player on top of player. But you also got to put in context that those teams are like 10, 11 win games this season type teams, like potential Super Bowl, like contending teams. And we're not at that level yet. We're not even close to that level yet, I would say. So we're not going to be on people's lists of like, hey, I'll take less money to go here, or I'm going to stack up and make like a stacked roster on this for this team. So that's my first point. My second point would be great defenses usually are built off of continuity.
Yes.
So if you're bringing back 10 of 11 guys, yeah, you could say you need to add some people, but if you're bringing back everyone healthy and you have 10 of 11 guys in year 2 of the system, everyone knows their role. They've been around the guys. They know how to communicate with those guys and play with those guys in the field. You would accept that you would expect, I mean, that they're going to take some type of step forward, just like I said, a continuity aspect. So that's how I kind of feel about it.
Yeah, and this was EB's tweet. Quote, I think we have a class action lawsuit against the Martys and Ron for neglecting the defense in free agency. Bringing back 10 of the 11 starters minus Landon is malpractice. They've lost the public trust. Key evidence, they only know how to scout ex-Panthers. Scrubs at that. I think it's ridiculous. I responded to him. I said, was Bobby McCain, did he play in Carolina? Did Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissick, Charles Leno, did they play in Carolina? It's a clown take, and it's a take that like is like, you know, you would say is like the cappuccino or like the caramel frappuccino of Starbucks. Essentially, like it's just
so
like a white
easy.
girl basic
Everybody does it
take.
right.
Yeah, and it's not true at all. Once you start looking at the facts here, it doesn't make sense. But there's a key word in there. He said they didn't do anything for defense in free agency. He didn't say this offseason, said free agency. Maybe because they spent a second and fourth rounder on a defensive tackle and a safety. So that takes away his argument. So he only uses free agency. Well, I'm glad they didn't spend big in free agency on defense. They did it last offseason, and we saw how that paid dividends last season. With all due respect to the Commanders and the season that they did have, all I'm saying is, obviously, I'm glad that they did stuff differently this time around, because if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, you don't get the good results. That's the definition of insanity. So, yeah, I'm good with it. EB, you could keep your stupid takes over there.
Well, first of all, the first thing is, you're telling me that this guy works for the local media and he's being negative about the team. I don't believe that for a second. So, but then the other thing, like, I understand the defense. Like, if you really look at this defense, I know that they underperformed last year, but this is a defense that before the season, yes, they took a step back. That happens sometimes in the NFL. Sometimes teams don't play up to their potential or to their talent. This defense has so much talent. Like, you got to give some of these young guys a chance. You got to give some of these people that you signed a chance. And like you said, Kyle, they addressed different places in the draft, different pieces that they needed. And it's an offense-driven league. I think that they felt comfortable with the defense that they had in place. They looked at the schedule this year. I think that they really like the guys that they have, and they see what like a Chase Young could be, a Montez Sweat could be, William Jackson III, what him and Kendall Fuller did last year towards the end of the season. Benjamin St. Juste, Jamin Davis, and Cole Holcomb both have fantastic potential. Like, obviously Cam Curl. So it's just a stupid, lazy take that it's so common with the local media. They do that type of stuff all the time, especially the junkies. They're the worst at it. And it's lazy, and it's an offense-driven league. So I think the priority was, hey, we got to score points. We have the defense. We feel that can get the job done and can be good enough and possibly be elite. So log off, EB. Just also, you're not even a fan. Just get away.
It's funny though, because also if you've listened to the junkies over the past couple of years, they've done nothing but parade the team about they built the defense and they're not living up to
exactly. Could you imagine if they drafted an offensive line?
Defense.
Right.
Now they build the offense. Well, they didn't put anyone on defense. They're bringing back the same defense.
Could you imagine if they drafted a defender in the first round, what they would have said?
Exactly.
They would have lost their mind. They'd be like, Ron's too old school. Now because he's spending money on the sexy positions that are important to the new age. It's he's an idiot. He should be sued for malpractice. Like, just stop. You guys are sounding like, you guys are starting to sound like your name. Just a bunch of drug addicts in there. Just making just clean your act up, you goddamn junkies.
Oh my goodness. But real quick, I know we asked this to Dane, but I wanted to get your guys' opinions before we're joined by our next guest. And we answer fan questions. The Commanders came out and announced their game themes for 2022. Preseason week 1 against the Carolina Panthers on August 13th is play football. That's what they're announcing, the new marching band, the reunion of the marching band, and a new song that they're going to come out with. And then the home opener, obviously on September 11th, doing the anniversary of September 11th of 9/11.
Oh, wow, that reminds me of that tragedy.
And then week 9 is obviously the Salute to Service month, where they're wearing the all blacks, and they're going to have a blackout for the fan base. So where everyone's showing up, they're going to be asking you to wear black for it. Hopefully those black jerseys will be available for it. But my favorite here, the week 18 matchup against the Cowboys, the 17th game, is the whiteout, the We Want Dallas week. I'm excited for that. Hall, which one are you looking forward to?
Definitely looking forward to the Blackout game. I'm gonna try to actually go to that game just because I think it's gonna be a pretty good atmosphere, great atmosphere, depending on where the team's at the time. Hopefully, they're on the positive side of things at that point. And I wish it was a night game 'cause it would just be even more crazy at that point. Just a night game, Blackout. But it's the return of Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are a pretty good team, so it should be a good test at where this team is at, like midway through the season. And on top of that, who doesn't want to get Blackout game? So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most probably.
Yeah, blackout. I thought you meant drunk. That's how I'm gonna look at it. No, for me, it's week 18. That's what I'm looking forward to is the whiteout, the Dallas game. I've always said it. We always have really good seasons whenever we finish against Dallas, and especially being at the whiteout. You know, we love the white on white look that they have for the past 2 seasons as their specialty uniform. I think it's gonna look really, really clean with that new burgundy matte helmet. This is gonna look perfect. What do you think, Reed?
Oh yeah, I love it. I love that they announced everything already, so people can get ready for it. And like obviously, I'm excited to see the black jerseys, because it's so unique to this. It's the first time that we've had a black jersey as Redskins. I said it, sorry, / Commanders fans, but I'm gonna go with the whiteout, man. I feel like when I think back to like the mid 2000s, like Santana Moss and these guys playing Dallas at home, I think of them in the white on white jersey, and I think of them beating Dallas at FedEx Field, or like Sean Taylor's return on that field goal. Like it gets you going, it gets the juice. Hopefully they can bring back some of that old school Washington football and just beat Dallas. It's a new age, Commanders versus Cowboys. I got a commander of the military beating up a stupid cowboy, so I think we're gonna win it based off the mascots alone.
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited for that, especially like I like the game themes. Kind of gives it the collegiate kind of aspect to it. When fans come in, it gives fans a little bit extra motivation to come to the stadium and be a little extra rah. You know what I mean? But latest news: Washington Commanders
If it snows, then too.
Oh yeah,
the whiteout.
The Commanders tried to claim John Kaminsky, defensive line, off waivers. Apparently, which is the most popular waiver guy to come on the waiver in forever, because 8 teams wanted him, and it looks like the Lions were to get him. And this is the defensive lineman, because we were all thinking they were going to go middle linebacker haul. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that I'm not really that surprised that they tried to claim him because he's a good player, solid player, and he would be a great rotational piece, another veteran to add to that rotation, the defensive line, and he would probably replace Tim Settle and Ioannidis' production, maybe all in like one person, to be honest with you. But he went to the Lions, and like I mean, as far as a middle linebacker goes, I am a little bit surprised, but also at the same time, it just goes to show that they've been talking about this 2 linebacker set and having the Buffalo nickel in there and playing a lot of nickel based packages anyway. So, from that aspect of it, I'm not really that surprised.
I understand. I get you. I'm with you. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read up anything on this yet, but I mean, it's a defensive lineman. You said he's an interior defensive lineman.
John
primarily?
Kaminsky, yes.
Yeah, I just looked. I didn't see anything on him. Literally, I mean, is he the guy who wrote A Quiet Place and was in The Office? No, but no, I mean, I think it makes
sense.
Are
you surprised that they went after a defensive lineman?
No, that's what I'm getting to. No. I think that it makes sense. When you look at this defensive line, like last year when they got plastered by injuries, I know that we're supposed to have fantastic depth. That was something that we always talked about on the D line. Like once these injuries start piling up, and because you rotate so much, you're going to struggle a little bit. And that we saw that last year. I mean, we saw it with the ends, we saw that on the inside. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And now let's move on to our fan questions as we await here for our next guest. But we had a question submitted last week through email, and I forgot it on Friday. This is from our huge fan, Mr. Tim Towner. Thank you, Tim. Reed, I'll go to you first. He says, this happens every year, but a once valued veteran player ends up being released. Adrian Peterson is a good example. Who do you see is at risk for this treatment in 2022?
Ooh.
That's a great one.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That's kind of hard to figure out. Like when you look at the defense, especially, I think that's hard. You may have to come back to me. I mean, as a veteran, maybe one of the guards doesn't make it. Like maybe there's a logjam or one of the young guys comes out and maybe say somebody like Trey Turner. I don't think it would happen, but maybe Trey Turner, just he's older and they say Sadiq Charles pans out or he's plays fantastic and they got to make a cut and maybe say something like that. But really, the only veteran, I guess, and he's still young, I would say Jarrett Patterson, but he's never had that type of impact, so I wouldn't even consider him around that. I don't know.
Jarrett Patterson, that's probably a good one. Do you have anybody, Hall? You don't want to like wish this on somebody, but it's just speculative.
I mean, if I had to guess, I would say Samus Reyes, just because
It's not really a veteran, but all right.
I know that's what I'm saying. There's not really like a veteran.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's hard to. Yeah.
Maybe Sadiq Charles, just because maybe Trey Turner does step up and they like what he see out of him, and Sadiq hasn't really gotten onto the field. And when he has, he's kind of been injury riddled. When he has been on the field, he's been pretty exceptional. But I mean, the best ability is availability, so maybe Sadiq might be the odd man out. Who knows?
The best ability is taking pictures in front of your refrigerator on Instagram with your skinny jeans like Sadiq does.
So Sadiq is so funny, dude. But now we are joined by our next guest, the stat guy for Commanders Nation, our guy, Mr. Nathan Coleman. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, so we just had a question submitted into us by Tim Towner asking one surprise veteran that you could see maybe cut. Like, as an example, he used like Adrian Peterson. It happens every year. Morgan Moses was last year. What is one surprise veteran player you could see being released?
AGG. I don't think there's a chance he makes the roster. I know everyone really likes him because he was drafted by Ron Rivera, but anytime a receiver switches positions, you know they're not good. Like, I hate to say it, but like there are so many examples, and every single time it's the same thing. You always talk about the best case scenarios, like what about like Darren Waller or whatever, right. But like most of the time they're Hakeem Butler. And if you don't remember Hakeem Butler, he was a much hyped 4th round pick, much like AGG. And now he's not even in the league anymore. And he was only drafted like 4 years ago. Yep. So yeah, I would say it's AGG.
Yeah. I would say the one surprise cut, and it pains me to say this, I would say it's Taylor Heineke. Just maybe if Sam Howell progresses enough and it saves the Commanders just a little bit of coin to be able to do that. Just maybe they're not as confident, like they're very confident in Sam Howell and being able to come in and relieve. But to your point about AGG, I listened to Scott Turner's press conference from last week, and he talked to reporters at their OTAs, and he talked about how they looked at the roster, and the one spot they could really find a place for AGG was tight end, which is what I said was probably what the issue was, that they thought that there was no way you could make the team at wide receiver, and so that's why they pushed him at tight end, which goes to your point, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only other position that he could play.
Right. Well, I mean, he's a big, strong kid, maybe special teams, maybe he could be a corner. You never know. Never know. But the next question we have is from Mike Puckett. Nate, and I'll go to you first. Which free agent addition from last season has to prove himself this season to either be brought back next season, contract considered, B, to make the 53-man roster even this season?
Man, that's a good question.
Mike Puckett coming in with fire, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I would have, like, this time last year, I would have said Charles Leno, right? Because he was a guy who, like, we didn't know a lot about, and he's only on a 1-year prove-it deal. But, like, man, that guy had one of the best, like, left tackle seasons you've ever seen from a free agent, and then got that sweet extension. So I can't go with him. I'm kind of stumped on this one. Who else is coming to mind? Because, like, that was the first name that popped in my head, but I know he just got a nice extension.
So I don't think he would really be in risk of being cut yet, but he definitely has to prove himself. Curtis Samuel, just because of the injuries, but I don't think he's in danger of being cut coming up. So
not with his contract. I mean, he's a top 15 cap hit. So like if you cut him, it would be a disaster. If anything, he's really like a bounce back candidate. Like
exactly. Right.
The thing about his injury, man, if he had just torn his ACL like in September, been done with it, and he was out for the year, we really wouldn't be talking about him the way we did. But because there was so much ambiguity with the injury, because every year, every week there was a new update, we didn't really understand what was going on. It's just kind of confusing. But honestly, like, guys get injured, receivers get injured a lot, tight ends get injured a lot, skill players they get hit a lot. Okay, so it's not a big deal. But I mean, if anyone could kind of play that Debo light role, maybe it's Curtis, and he's the only real guy in the team that can create that can create after the catch, because that's not Dotson's game, that's really not McLaurin's game. Logan Thomas doesn't do that at all. So, I mean, really, that's Curtis Samuel's game, and I think we need him for that, because last year they ranked last in the NFL in YAC per reception, so they got to improve on that.
Yeah, one I'll say Puckett. I don't think he's like in a possibility of being released or anything this season. But I would say William Jackson III. Obviously, he came alive at the end of last season, but he was a free agent acquisition. They paid a lot of money for him, and they most likely have an out in the third year. So I would say that William Jackson III, his future would be in doubt if he doesn't have a great year. But if he had a really good one this season, I would imagine his future is bright here in Washington. That's all depending on his play. You got anybody in mind, Hall?
No, I was gonna actually, like you say, he's not really at risk of getting cut, but I was gonna say William Jackson III, just because.
Great minds think alike, baby.
Yeah, so he finished strong or pretty strong last year, so hopefully he can carry that over. But like you said, if he has a pretty strong year, I can see him coming back, maybe playing out his contract till the end of it. But yeah, he's definitely not a candidate. I don't think to get cut like this upcoming offseason or season.
I'm just going to say it again, just like last summer. And I'll admit, of course, I was wrong, especially early on, but I'm pushing all my chips in the William Jackson camp one more time. I think this dude's going to be fantastic this year. And I owe him that because I was so high on him last offseason.
He deserves it, Reed. I think he would appreciate your support.
I think he'd probably be super pumped about that.
Now, Nate, this next question is from the Colonel. I'm going to go to you first with this one. We're going to stay in the wide receiver room. We've got some stud wide receivers. Any chance at all that Kelvin Harmon makes the squad?
No. I mean, the thing with Kelvin Harmon is like the NFL told you what they think of him when he was drafted in the 6th round. So like once he was drafted in the 6th round, like that means every team passed on him multiple times. So he was good his first year. I'll give him credit, but once you go out and you're a 6th round pick, your chances of making the roster and contributing are not that high. So it's not someone that's really on my radar. I know he's a fan favorite because we drafted him and he was hyped up before the draft, but the NFL draft tells you what you need to know about a lot of these guys. Same with AGG. So he's not a guy I'm really concerned about. I mean, Cam Sims does all the same things in my book, and he's better at it. So if I wanted a wide receiver 4, it's Cam Sims.
Yeah, I agree with you in that breath. I think that makes a lot of sense, Nate. I think you answered that perfectly. I would love to see Kelvin Harmon on this roster, but it's just hard to do that given with the fact that they did give a contract to Cam Sims. It'd be hard to see them Kelvin overtaking Cam Sims up until that point. But I will say Kelvin obviously offers that veteran stability, that meat in the depth chart, you could say lower on the totem pole. You would like to see him around as one of those pieces that you can grab in case of emergency, because we all know about the injury issues here in Washington, and it tends to really come in fluxes, a lot of it. And so maybe something big did happen to the wide receiver room, and Kelvin Harmon would be somebody you'd love to have if something imploded in that wide receiver room. But to your point, Colonel, I don't think that he's going to make the 53. What about you all? Sorry, Reed.
No. Oh, I think we'll keep him around if we end up filming a movie and need somebody to play Julio Jones or something because he looks so much like him. But other than that,
well, that's so messed up, man. But
how's that messed up? He
does.
like him.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
Maybe if we need another tight end.
Yeah, hey, there you go. Yeah. Come on down. He's got Jordan Reed's body.
Yeah, I definitely think he's probably the odd man out in the wide receiver room. Obviously, he's a guy that you want on your roster just because he's a guy that's going to go out and give 150% on the field. He's going to do whatever the coach asks. And he's going to make a flash play like once or twice in a 17-game season. Maybe it's like on offense, maybe a special team, something like that. But again, like Nate said, the NFL kind of tells you what you are like when you come into the league. And I think without the injury, if he would have kept on building from his first year and kept building and building, then I think we might have maybe a Cam Sims type of receiver right now. But I think the injury set him back, and he hasn't really been able to get the reps back on the practice field to kind of get back in the flow of things. Unfortunate
timing for Kelvin Harmon, just giving with the differencing of coaching changes that's happened, and just at the wrong time, wrong place, essentially. But this next question is right up your alley, Nate. This is from our guy, Michael Haas, one of the best Commanders fans on Twitter. He wants to know, Nate, what's better, an influx of premium talent or establishing an identity and developing continuity?
My guy Mike's from Delray too, so I just moved here to Delray, so we're brothers from Delray, obviously. So okay, this is a good question. I feel like continuity, it can mean a lot of different things. I feel like on the offensive line, that's very important, but in general, I want premium talent because it's a lot easier to mold premium talent into into whatever you want. But you need a little bit of both to be good, right? Like I remember the Bengals 2020, they were like the 30th ranked offense. They were terrible, obviously, but they had some good players. They had T. Higgins, they had Joe Mixon. Their offensive line was in shambles. They had Tyler Boyd though. And then, 2021 came around. Obviously, they got a huge upgrade at quarterback, and then they got a superstar receiver. And yeah, maybe we're not quite there. Maybe we don't have a superstar receiver yet. Maybe we don't have a superstar quarterback. But it's along the same lines. You got to upgrade every position till you get to the point where you have a lot of depth. And I think we're there. At least we're not going to take a Bengals jump, but you can look at a Bengals light type of jump where you go from like the 25th ranked offense to maybe like the 15th ranked offense, which in the NFC is good enough to like get into a wild card or possibly contend for the division, man. I don't know about you guys, but like I think Dallas is hurting a little bit. Like any team that like leads the NFL in this high like turnover rate where they force a lot of turnovers, guaranteed the next year they usually drop back down. And all the teams, all the best defenses in my books are the teams that force turnovers because like it's kind of hard to do because it's so random. But if you look every single year, the top 10 teams in forcing turnovers, they always have good offenses. And the reason for that is they're constantly scoring and then giving the ball back to the other team, playing with a lead and then rushing the passer and forcing those fumbles, forcing interceptions, forcing all of that. You're forcing them to play from behind. It's so much harder to score. And that's what I want to see this year. And that's going to lead to so much more success down the road. If you can just play with the lead, then you can run the ball, then you can rush the passer, then you're playing to your team's strength. So that's what I want to see this year.
I love that answer, Nate. That was very well put and well articulated. But it's hard for me to say, so I'm going to be easy with this. I'm going to cheat here. But I'm going to say it like it has to do with getting an influx of premium talent. But it shares the fine line of being able to continue that continuity with that premium talent. Like, for example, the Rams are a good example of that, where they had an influx of premium talent using, obviously, the Redskins' high draft picks, but they kept the meat of it, meaning like Aaron Donald, of that premium talent for continuity along that defense. They went out and they got Jalen Ramsey to continue that continuity in that back end of that defense. But I understand that you need premium talent because you would love to be able to build a team of Cinderella stories. But in today's NFL, you really don't have any Cinderellas once you start reaching success, right? So I would imagine, for me, if I had to choose between the two, I would say continuity breeds success more so than just the influx of premium talent. Because like we've seen in Jacksonville, that can implode quickly. What do you think, Hall?
Yeah,
Sorry,
pretty
Reed.
much.
No,
Second
you're good.
Pretty much along the same lines as you. If you look at the Rams, like you look at Aaron Donald and like you said, Jalen Ramsey, like they had some draft picks that they established their core guys and their culture setters, and they've kind of kept them along the way. But then you add guys like Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller. You're always looking to upgrade. So I would just say, like, short answer would be, me personally, I would kind of lean more towards you need the premium talent, but you also need to sprinkle in those core guys that you draft. And like I said, those guys that are the culture setters are going to be the locker room staples throughout any type of influx of change and coaching staff, front office, whatever it may be.
Right. And just to add on to some of that, like think back to the Eagles dream team, think back to the old Washington teams. When you try to add this talent without having a strong core, then it never works out. It always implodes. Always. So, I mean, it's a combination of things. I think you have to have a core. Then you can do, like the Rams, they're kind of a rare example, and the Bengals, but when they start adding these guys, all of a sudden it works. That's why I feel like the Chargers are also going to end up, like, this will probably work out for the Chargers this offseason. Like, that they have a good team, they're solid, but like sometimes when you try to buy your roster, it doesn't, when you're trying to play Madden in real life, it kind of usually implodes on you.
Yeah, and then, Reed, let's keep it back with you because Haas had 2 questions with it. Now, what's better, stronger players or a stronger team? Essentially meaning like stronger players like you would say Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, or would you rather have a team like, I don't know, Denver or something like that where you have a plethora of a good talent?
Well, I mean, obviously, based off those examples, I think.
Well, you know what I mean.
But I know what you mean. No. I think that's tough. You see all the time where you get these strong players, like I just brought up, and it doesn't really work out. I think, just having a strong core, like you see all the time, teams that maybe don't have an Aaron Donald, but I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. But I mean, generally, you do need good players to win in this game. But you can get by and you can still win some games if you're solid all around. If you got some pretty good players and they just play very well together, they're used to each other. They, I don't know. It's tough. The NFL's changed so much, I feel like, over the last few years. And the Rams kind of threw a curveball in here and screwed up all of our thinking. So I don't know, man. Right now I'd take anything. You know,
I'll say
As long as we win.
stronger team, Haas. I'm pretty sure you already knew that. I would take stronger team any day of the week. Just being able to spread it out, I'm much more comfortable and confident building that. What do you think, Nate?
So I think the stronger team gives you that higher floor that you need to get into the playoffs. But I think unless you have multiple superstar players, you don't have that ceiling to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And if you look at the Rams, they have 3 of the best players at the most premium positions you can look for. And
Patriots
that's part of the
were a good
reason
example.
Yeah. Same with the Chargers. Same with the Bengals, though. You think about like Jamar Chase and Joe. You know, they have so many good players in that regard. So you want a little bit of both. And I think Washington's question this year is like, who are your like blue chip superstar players? To me, like right now, I'm talking about right now, not like a year from now. Right now, they just have one. To me, it's just John Allen. He's the only guy I could say like he had an elite season. No one else I can say that about, even close to. So the question is, maybe next year, maybe that changes. Maybe it's Chase Young. Maybe it's Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
Maybe William Jackson, your boy, comes back. Maybe, I don't know, someone else, Terry McLaurin possibly. So let's see.
What do you think, Hall?
Yeah, I'll go with stronger players just because unless your name is Bill Belichick, you're not going to just turn like a bunch of Joe Schmoes into this championship winning team. So
Jim Zorn could.
Yeah.
Hip.
Yeah, I would go stronger players because you always want to have high end type of to elite type of players like leveled at every single position on the field. So, and then at the end of the day, players want to come play with good players. So if you already have a couple of great players, you can keep on adding great players to that roster. Just honestly, look kind of like the Rams. So, yeah, I would take the great players over the strong players over strong team.
Right, and like you said, the superstars kind of push you over the edge. Like you may be able to ride with that solid core to the and get close, but those superstars are what's really going to bring you to the next level and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Hall, let's keep it with you for this next question. This is from Twitter. Our guy Hercules had a question for us. Mascot ideas other than a typical hog.
You could go. See, I don't know, because I really just like I've always just pictured the hog as like nothing else other than the hog. So I guess you could go. I don't know, a tank with something on top of a tank. Like I've always just, like I said, like I've always just kind of pictured a hog because I can't really think of any type of other mascot. I mean, I guess people keep bringing up like the German Shepherd and stuff like that, but even so, I just always pictured a hog, so I can't really think of any other mascot outside of a hog other than the tank.
I got you. Hercules, I'll say, instead of, you know how the Nats have the presidents come out and do that race every time? You could have generals or essentially of each service, a branch of the service. You got Air Force, you got Navy, got the Army. Maybe you could have like the National Guard as the fourth there. And then like you could have little things during the game like a push-up contest. Like the Nats have the race. You could do a push-up contest, other stuff like that, just to give you something to attach it to without having it to attribute it, a link to an animal or anything like that. I think that'd be a cool aspect, just to have generals of different armed forces being the figurehead for the commanders. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, if you zoom out, I mean, I know it's like a really big deal here, but if you zoom out, like most of these franchises, you really don't think anything about their mascots.
No, you
it's just
don't.
not a big. It's more of a college thing, honestly. So I'm not really too. I know it's kind of boring. I'm just really not too concerned about it. I'm more like I care about the X's and O's, and
It's because you're a grown man,
no matter
Nate.
what. No, I like some of the themes though. I like the blackout, the whiteout. Like that sounds really fun, and like whatever you can do to make the fan experience more engaging. Like I want to get to a point where like my daughter, my daughter's 5. I want to get to the point where she's like excited to go to a game. There's a lot of like fun stuff to do for the whole family. Right now, it's like, no, you can't come. My wife can't come. Like it's just me, because like really there's not a lot going on. No offense, but I think it's gonna get better once they start winning, which I'm hoping is this year.
Yeah, I'm much more comfortable with getting drunk not around your kids, Nate. If that's what you're saying, essentially.
Yeah, that too.
What do you think, Reed?
Well, if we're not going the animal route, I mean, maybe we could have like an Indian or something who comes out, or Native American. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we can't do that. That's not. They're not called. They're Native American. Or like the German Shepherd route, like because the country of Germany. I don't know if you guys are history buffs, but the country of Germany twice actually went to war with the world, so that'd be pretty cool.
Ridiculous. All
They
right,
almost
now
won.
Nate, let's go to our next question. This is from the Discord chat server. Our guy Tony Franchise. I know that you weren't there in person to be able to see, but he wants to know, how has Sam Howell looked? What have you heard about Sam Howell, Nate?
Yeah, I would just tell everyone, like, I know people get really excited. I always sound like a Debbie Downer, right? It's just like, anytime you go outside
You're
the
just
first
honest,
round,
though.
like,
You're real.
I know, man. Like, anytime you go outside the first and second and third round for quarterback, you should be excited if this guy can like make your roster.
Right.
You know, like everyone talks about like project quarterbacks. Like, when is the last time like a project quarterback really did anything? It doesn't happen that much. You remember the best instances. You remember like Tony Romo, but you don't remember the other like 1,000 instances of Nate Sudfeld where it doesn't work out. So, you know, if Sam Howell can turn into like your number 2 backup quarterback and be good, that's a huge win for this franchise. I mean, it was a great value pick, but I mean, I don't know what happened to him. I feel bad for him. Like I wish he could have declared last year, because I think he would have went in the first round when he had all his guys, when he had Javonte Williams and Michael Carter, and Laimi Brown and all those guys. But I mean, he just, I don't know. I'm excited about him. I just feel like Heineke is fine, man. Like he's going to be that quarterback 28, quarterback 27, which is good for a backup. And he's so cheap that I know you guys said he might get cut, but like he's so cheap.
I had to pick somebody, and that was an easy one.
That's spicy though. That's spicy, and I like it. You know, like if it was someone boring, we wouldn't be that interested. But no, I mean, Howell is fun, but you know, you're not going to see that rushing upside. I hear everyone talk about like, well, he rushed for 800 yards.
Yeah, I don't want that happening in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't want him doing that in the NFL.
He had to do
He's
that
not a good athlete. He's not a good athlete. I'm saying, like, he's 6 feet tall. He's the same size as Malik Willis, but he's not fast. He ran like a 4.9. Like he's not going to be doing that. And he's not Josh Allen. Okay.
Right.
So I don't know. I just be happy if he makes the roster, makes the practice squad. And that's really exciting. You know, just lower the expectations. He's not a franchise quarterback in waiting. Like, that is egregious. Stop with that narrative. Okay.
Right. Just imagine somebody who's Malik Willis's exact size, but with way less muscle and white. And that's
Sam Howell. Now, Sam Howell, when you look at Sam Howell, he is smaller than you would expect, I would say. And just seeing that, you don't want him running in the NFL, to your point, Nate. I hate when that gets brought up as like a plus for Sam Howell. If, in college, with things being the way it is, you should be able to sit in that pocket and just be able to bleed guys out all day. You shouldn't need to use your legs, but obviously there was something going on there. But Sam Howell's looked like a rookie quarterback. The ball flies out of his hands. He's not the tallest guy in the world. I don't think he towers. It's not like he's towering over Taylor Heineke. He's a rookie. He gets the ball out of his hands fast. It comes out of his hands on a rope. Has a strong arm, but I am intrigued to see how he progresses, Tony, especially in these preseason games when he's actually given the 11-on-11s. He's not, coddled anyway by the coordinators, where they can really unleash him and let him do his thing. That's when we're really going to be able to see how Sam Howell looks. You got anything to add, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, just speaking of things that are unexpected with Sam Howell, how about the way he talked on the phone to his former teammate, De'Ami Brown?
And he doesn't eat.
That's my favorite video.
And he doesn't eat any red meat, never had steak or anything, only eats chicken.
Yeah, I never expected him to talk that way to anybody, ever. But he did it. Shout out to his family.
He did it. Hall, you got anything to add? I know you and I were at OTAs. What did you think of Howell?
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a rookie, like you said. I mean, the one thing that kind of just stood out to me was he actually looked like drastically smaller than Taylor Heineke, which I did not expect.
Oh, and he's out.
Your mic went out. I'm sorry, Hall. Once episode, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nate, I'm going to go to you this next question. This is from Scott Hartley in the UK. Oi! Thank you, Scott.
Oi.
What's the one thing you're most worried about going into the season? It could be a position group or a player or off-field stuff.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that. Like, quarterback defines everything that happens. Like, people talk about defense. Well, your defense is driven by the quarterback you're playing, okay? And then on offense, it's the guy who touches the ball the most. So it's got to be Carson Wentz. He's Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. I mean, he's up and down. He's inconsistent. When he's on, he's pretty awesome. And I will say, like, I really think the rest of the NFL really like underrates him. Like, he's nowhere near as bad as you think. Like he's probably like that mid-tier, like quarterback 16, quarterback 17, but that doesn't mean that for a stretch he can't play like a good quarterback or even an elite quarterback for a game or two. There's guys like that, like, Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins who, they might be more like middle-tier quarterbacks, but they can play like elite guys at times. So you got to get the best out of Carson Wentz, and I think this offense is going to benefit him, man. Like the Colts did it all wrong. Like, why would you want to turn him into a game manager? That is not his strong suit. He's not Alex Smith. Like, you're not utilizing his skill set at all. So I just didn't understand, like, why they even traded for him if they're not going to use him the way he's meant to be used. The way he's meant to be used is throwing the ball in early downs, using play action, driving the ball down the field. He's not a pinpoint, like, dart thrower like Drew Brees. He's kind of inaccurate. He kind of has, like, a scatter shot, but he has a strong arm. So like you can't play this like ball control conservative offense because that's not his strength. He's not going to like not turn over the ball. He's going to get you big plays, and it's going to be that high, like, high volatility that you want, but you need that to get into the playoffs. You need a high ceiling. You have to get to that ceiling. And the quarterbacks we've had in the past up until like Kirk Cousins did not have that high ceiling. So I think he's a guy, you got to tap into that ceiling. You got to embrace the turnovers when they happen. That's part of the game, but I'd rather have a guy be aggressive who can make all the throws and get in a rhythm than a guy who's going to like check it down every single time, because that's not going to get you into the playoffs. Can you think of any like teams that made the playoffs being really conservative, just like protecting the ball? Like I think of the Titans. Like I think some people want to build the Titans with this team. And it's like, yeah, the Titans are really awesome. Like you should be proud that they made the playoffs with all the injuries, but the problem with teams like that is when they get in the playoffs and they get behind, by a touchdown, by 2 touchdowns, they can't come back because they can only play one style of play. And once they get out of their rhythm, once they have to actually like throw the ball, they just suck. And that's what happens. That's why you don't want to build your team that way. You want to build it to score a bunch and then rush the passer. And that's what I think Washington is built for this year.
My man, and that goes into my biggest concern going into the season is pass rush, Nate, given with Montez Sweat and Chase Young, making sure that Chase Young is healthy, not forcing his way back for a possible another injury early on. Like when guys typically try to rush getting back, that'll happen with other injuries to their body. And then Montez Sweat as well. I know they ended the year kind of on a bad note, obviously losing his brother, having a broken jaw. So I'm most concerned about the pass rush because we talked about before, Nate, bring up you being able to score points. Well, forcing that offense to be in bad situations with this pass rush, that's my biggest concern, is being able to get home multiple times and having a force with that pass rush, making it so the offense is concerned about the pass rush. Mentally, that'll do a lot for this football team because the teams will scheme their ways around from getting away from that pass rush, and that'll help out the defense altogether. What do you think, Cole?
I don't even know what the question was at first.
Oh, you don't know what the question was? What's one thing you're worried about going into the season? Could be a position group, a certain player, something off the field.
One thing I'm concerned about, I'll say I'm concerned about injuries at the wide receiver position again.
Yeah,
obviously we've seen what happened when we had high hopes for Curtis Samuel last year. We had high hopes for De'Ami Brown coming in as a rookie, and we saw that he didn't really develop like everyone thought he was going to, and then Curtis Samuel got on the field maybe a handful of times at most, and it was just Terry out there again, and we saw what this offense looks like. Obviously, the quarterback had something to do with that, but with Logan Thomas not being ready probably by week 1, you're going to need Terry, you're going to need Curtis Samuel healthy, you're going to need Jahan to come out there and kind of make plays like he has been in OTA so far. So my concern would be keeping the wide receiver core healthy and them playing so they can actually have weapons for Carson Wentz to throw to, and we can actually have a vertical downfield offense and actually prayers up, score some points for once in our lives.
Absolutely, dude. And health, you stole it because you're right, because health is the number one concern for me this season. What about you, Reed? Got anything?
Yeah. It was what scares you the most?
Most concerned about? Most worried?
What am I most concerned about? Probably that like I wake up and like the last 5 years was like a dream or something, or like I'm in a coma. That's usually
You're ridiculous.
Really scare me.
Now this one is from outside of the Commanders, Nate. But I want to go to you. This is Big Tony Shivers, huge fan of the Commanders. Outside of the Commanders, with Devontae Adams to the Raiders, Russell Wilson to Denver, the AFC West looks even more stacked than usual. How do you see that division shaking out?
Yeah, so I grew up in Kansas City, so I have a pretty good pulse on the team. I mean, they've won the division the past, since Andy Reid has been the coach there, they've won it every single year. So Yeah, I'm gonna go with the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, I know, don't overthink it, right? Like, why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't they be good this year? Like, I understand they lost Tyreek Hill. Like, honestly, I think they made a great trade because you want to trade these guys right after like they're about to reach like out of their prime. And then
Right.
they're going to go downhill from there.
Yeah.
And you got a great deal out of it, to be honest. Like, yeah, the receiver core is nowhere near as exciting as they were, but last year
Still
they
a lot of
struggled
talent,
to win. Like, they struggled to win. Like, it wasn't deep down the field where they struggled. It was like within 10 yards. They didn't have guys who could create separation, get open, and then create after the catch. And now I think they have a better roster to do that than without Tyreek Hill. I mean, like, it sucks. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL, but like, you really think like the Raiders are just going to come out of nowhere just because they added Devontae Adams? Like, that was a terrible trade, by the way. Like, you don't trade for a 29-year-old receiver ever. That's just stupid. You gave away a bunch of draft capital. You're going to be the fourth best team in the division. Maybe you have an okay offense, but like, I don't know what they're doing. They should have been the one team going the opposite way and rebuilding while they can. They should have traded Derek Carr while they could have. And now they're like this old veteran team. I don't know what they're going to do. And then, Broncos will be solid, like Chargers. I love them. 3 teams are going to make the playoffs in that division, but like, how are you going to bet against Mahomes when he does it? He's been to the AFC Championship every single year since he's been a starter. So like, why would I bet against that?
Absolutely, dude. I'll say I think the Chargers could be that one sneaky team to steal it away from Kansas City, maybe force Kansas City to be in the wild card. But Kansas City and Andy Reid, I know they lost Tyreek Hill, like you said, Nate. But Andy Reid I trust Andy Reid's system more than the playmakers that they added there, if that makes any sense. Obviously, they got Sky Moore, and I absolutely love Sky Moore. I think he's the perfect replacer for Tyreek Hill, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm going with Kansas City. I do think they'll get it. But the Raiders did get a lot better. I just don't trust Josh McDaniels at all. What do you think, Hall?
Well, I've already put a small wager on the Chargers to win that division, so I'm gonna go with the Chargers to win it. I've always just I guess it would be his sophomore year at Oregon. I was a big Herbert fan. I didn't think he was gonna come to the league and be this good this fast, but I knew he would be a solid quarterback and like on the way to a great quarterback. And I love what they did in the offseason, adding Khalil Mack, they added Jackson, upgraded the defense. Obviously, you got studs and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And I just think that Brandon Staley, like, everyone kind of like clowned him last year for making all those risks and kind of going for it and kind of being like out there as far as like quirky like football coach moves. But I think in his second year, he'll be a lot more level-headed. Obviously, the players love playing for him. He's a great like players coach. So I think that the Chargers take that next step and win the division.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and look, I love what the Chargers. Like I said, I think that they got a good core in place, and then they added those star players. I mean, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, they upgraded their offensive line. I mean, they're very good. And I still think the Chiefs will end up ultimately win that division. Like you said, you can't really bet against them. Like, if you're going to lose a star receiver, I think you still feel pretty confident if you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's going to be fine.
Funniest thing,
I will say the Broncos really, really entice me. Like, obviously Russell Wilson, we know that's huge, but they have so much potential with their wide receiver core. The defense is good. They've got a good young running back. They've got a solid offensive line. And plus, like, did you see that video of Russell Wilson filming that?
That's what I was laughing about.
Like, that was like,
Russell Wilson wants to sound like Sam Howell so bad.
I know. If Broncos Nation, like, it was just like, God, what are you, man? Like,
there was another
video. It's a walking, talking sports cliche. That is
he's
Russell
so
Wilson. I love him, though. I love him.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. He's so cringe. Like, I don't know, but it's like the funniest thing was what was the thing that he said that one video when he first got traded, or right before he got traded, when he was Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited, baby, what's my name? Mr. Unlimited. And Sierra yells Mr. Unlimited as she's 1-2 stepping in the living room or something. Yeah,
so I made this meme the other night. If you guys could see this, it's like Michael Jackson hanging out with a bunch of dudes like in the mid-90s. And I wrote on there, it says Russell Wilson hanging out with his wide receivers.
Jerry Judy's like out getting arrested and stuff. And like then he got Russell Wilson.
Yeah, because Hall said he was trying to like act flag as hard as he could.
He's like Cortland Sutton, Judy, Hamler, and he's just like, you know what I'm saying? We out here, lit, baby.
It's like that episode of Fresh Prince where Carlton's in the hood.
Yeah. But to wrap this up, last question from the Discord chat server. Nate, I'll go to you with this. This is from Andy Scouse, Andy in the UK. Oi. I hear all the Blackout game is Week 9 versus the Vikings. Do you think that we will get any other games this season that are Blackout?
Oh,
Maybe if
God,
we lose
I don't know how to.
I don't think they're going to be Blackout in particular, Andy. But what I will say is, if they get a playoff game, if they are in the playoffs, and maybe they host it, they could tell the fans to wear black, and they could wear the black uniforms for it. But I would not expect for all the fan base to be blacked out or anything like that. If that's what you're asking, with the fan base getting like the T-shirts and all that jazz.
Yeah, I don't think so. Unfortunately, I think that if they make,
we've heard that for a while that they were going to wear
Right.
the black uniforms once is what
right.
we've heard.
And hey, maybe if the whiteout thing works, like if they beat Dallas late in the season and the
Yeah.
white, we've seen them do that in the past where they rock the all whites. So maybe they'll ride that gravy train.
Absolutely. And who coordinated the colors that we're wearing today? We're all wearing white. Who decided that, dude? Just disgusting.
Wow.
But Nate,
Good job.
before we get out of here, Nate, if you'd just like to plug your social media handles, because I'm telling you guys, if you're looking for the analytical, the stats, to really break down the game of football, to simplify, to make it easier to understand concepts. I know what Nate sounds when he talks about it doesn't sound simple, but it makes the game easier for you to understand. So if you can, go follow my man Nate Coleman, dude, because it is a treasure trove of information for you football heads. But if you want to plug your social media handles real quick, Nate, before we get out of here.
Yeah, man, you can catch me at Commander Stats. I try to post like maybe a video per week or so, and I'll do like a Commander Spotlight where I'll go over one character, one guy that no one's really talking about, and try to highlight the analytical process, the film perspective, get it all on there, and add some nice highlights in case like you want to read all that bullshit. You just want to see like what they're doing on the field. So yeah, you can check me out there. Definitely come meet me at the games. I'll probably be going to a lot this year. So yeah, come say hi.
Yeah, look for the guy with the best hair, and you'll find him. You'll be able to pick him out of the thousands. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this show. Thank you so much for joining us again, Nate, on such short notice. You're the man. Really do appreciate it. We've tried to get you on here in the past, and it's been hard to be able to do that. But I'm glad that you're able to take some time out for us, brother. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this show. We will see you guys on Friday. Please have a safe, great week. The weather's supposed to be phenomenal. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
Real fast, Kyle, I saw Katie's post.
Yeah.
Number 2?
Yes, sir.
Maybe number 2?
Maybe number 2.
So are you going to you should name this one Credit.
Dude,
is that what you can say?
That's what Dan
Cash or
said in our
credit?
group chat. He said credit card.
did he?
He said MasterCard.
No card, just credit. That way you can be like,
And he
you want
was-
me to take cash or credit?
He
Yeah,
also
that's what
said he
you're
was like Jar Jar Binks Ronick or something.
No, dude, seriously, that's awesome though. Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you, man. Yeah,
Congrats, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
we really, really appreciate it, guys. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Friday. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!